Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with another Explore the Card episode here on the Luca Nation Network. You're going to get these every single Friday afternoon. If you're a Jordan fan, buckle up. We're talking about the 1998 Duncan Go Nuts. It's a very familiar card to a lot of us Jordan collectors. I have got one pulled up on your screen that happens to be mine, my 9.5 copy. As always, we come from a viewpoint of transparency, so I'll just show you that's my card, that's what I have. So yes, I'm hyping Jordan, yes, I'm pumping Jordan, but I am not dumping Jordan, so I guess that makes it okay. We are going to look at the set that it comes from. This Duncan Go Nuts comes from a pretty obscure set. It's the 1998 Skybox EX Century set. A lot of you guys have heard of Skybox. A lot of you guys have heard of Skybox Premium. This is the Skybox EX Century from 1998, and I'll tell you, it's only a 90-card set. It was released in one series. The cards were randomly placed in here. They're not in alphabetical order, team order, or anything like that. Michael Jordan is not even featured in the base set. But what we have here is the first 60 cards that you see on your screen are going to be veterans, and then the last 30 cards are going to be rookies. And so you'll see the rookies start at card number 61 with the great Jelani McCoy, who I believe was from the University of California, but I might be wrong. But if you guys haven't seen these cards, let me pick a random one. I'm going to hit Scottie Pippen here. These cards are beautiful. Even the base cards are absolutely gorgeous. They're incredible. They don't look like base. It's almost like when you pull a base card, you feel like it's a case hit. That's how good looking they are. Of course, there's Pippen in his 33 with the pinstripes when he converted over and played on the Rockets. But the rookie cards are 61 through 90. The rookies that you'll be looking for in this set, if you were to rip some wax, which we're going to look at in a second on eBay. It ain't easy to find, but if you did find some and you wanted to rip it, the rookies are 61 through 90, like we said. The big ones, Dirk, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter. I say big, Dirk and Vince Carter. Paul Pierce is a little bit further behind. But then you've also got Peja Stojakovic, who doesn't have much of a collector base in the hobby despite being a fantastic NBA player. Mike Bibby, who came out of the gates guns blazing as a rookie and kind of took Vancouver by storm. Yes, there used to be a team in Vancouver called the Grizzlies, and now they're in Memphis, and there's another little munchkin running the show there. And then Antoine Jameson, who was a draft day trade partner with Vince Carter. Interesting. Two North Carolina All-American teammates traded for each other on draft night. That was that's something that I remember watching way back when and thinking, I'll take Vince Carter on my team any day. And obviously Toronto made the right choice there. Too bad they couldn't keep him for the entirety of his career. He took off and went to New Jersey, and then 37 other teams. The most notable inserts in here, and I'm on Trading Card Database, by the way. That's where I go to get all my information regarding sets and checklists and inserts and parallels and things like that. If you click the link, inserts and related sets, you'll see there's 5 insert sets. The first one is Authentics. Kind of a play on words with Authentics, obviously, and it's game-worn pieces. They're various serial-numbered game-worn shoes of 12 different players. It's a really interesting insert set, and this is kind of the education part of doing these videos. I never heard of this in my life. I didn't even know they did game-worn shoe patches this far back. I thought that would be more of a 2000s thing, but they got some good players in here. The T-Max got one. Got a card in here, serial number to 225. All of these cards are serial numbered. Some of them are very low serial numbered. They got 2 options for Keith Van Horn. Not sure why. One of them serial number to 44. The other's to 125. But even Iverson's got serial numbered cards in here. And if you're a huge Michigan fan and you really needed that tractor trailer, that Robert tractor trailer shoe card, it's in here, and it's serial number to 215. But that's just one insert set I wanted to show you that I had never seen. When you go back into the archives and history on Trading Card Database, you stumble across stuff that kind of gets your mind spinning. You're like, that Iverson game-worn shoe card from this might be off the radar, a little bit underpriced. And then you go down the rabbit hole, and then who knows where you go from there. But anyway, Autographics is another one. I've talked about Autographics before. They were actually inserted into a bunch of different Skybox sets during the 90s. They were on-card autographs, and those are highly sought after. A lot of people trying to collect the set of those. Then they have a checklists insert, which is a little confusing. The Duncan Go Nuts insert, which we're about to talk about today. And then there's another one called Generation EX right there, which is 1 in 18 packs. But The only card featuring Michael Jordan, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if there's an astute Jordan collector out there, I think the only Jordan card in 98 Skybox EX Century is the Duncan Go Nuts insert. He's not in any other insert, and he is not in the base set either. He is not in the parallel sets, which are Essential Credentials Future and Essential Credentials Now. I'm not going to get too much into those two parallel sets. They are huge cards. If you're collecting the right player, they are huge cards. And what's interesting is Essential Credentials Future are serial numbered opposite of the base number. So if there's 90 cards, card number 1 is serial numbered to 90. Card number 90 is serial numbered to 1. And Essential Credentials Now is the opposite. So card number 1 is serial numbered to 1, and card number 2 is serial numbered to 2, et cetera, and 90 is numbered to 90. So they all add up to 91. One way or the other, future or now. I guess, the easiest pairing to pick up would, I'm assuming, be card number 45 because they both be numbered to, 45, 46, something like that. So those are the two parallel sets in there, but we're here to talk about the Duncan Go Nuts. Those cards that you see on your screen, there's 20 cards in the Duncan Go Nuts set. Remember, from a set collector perspective, I'm always trying to help out our set collectors. If you're looking to collect this set, we like to look at how many of the constituent players in these sets are Hall of Famers. 10 out of 20 in this set. So big set, a little bit bigger than normal. Normally we see, 10, 12, 15. We've got 20 players in this Duncan Go Nuts insert set. 10 of the 20 are Hall of Famers, which gives us even in Louisiana math, a 50% Hall of Fame rate. As I said, the Duncan Go Nuts were inserted 1 in 36 packs. As I mentioned earlier, there is only one series. There's not a series 1, series 2, retail hobby, or any of that. It's just there's one, pack, and there's one box, and there are 1 in 36 packs. There's 20 players, which makes Michael Jeffrey Jordan a 1 in 720 pack pull. Let's look at the card itself. I think it goes without saying this card is super important primarily because of the aesthetics, right? Some Jordan cards are super valuable and highly sought after because of their incredible scarcity. We're going to look at the pop in a second, but 1 in 720 pack odds, while that sounds astounding and insane, it's really not compared to a lot of the Jordan stuff from the 90s. This Duncan Go Nuts is a very attainable card in any grade, and we're about to look at, how well this card actually grades really, really well. The primary concern with this card, and I can't say it enough, it turns yellow. It turns yellow. It turns yellow. So please, please, please be careful. Do not buy this card unless it's in your face and you can look at it and hold it up and put your hand behind it, or whoever is selling it takes a picture of the card with a sheet of white paper behind it. That is the only way to tell if the card has yellowed. If the card doesn't perfectly match the white paper behind it, in other words, if it looks darker, the card looks darker than the white paper around the edges of the card, that means there's a tinge of yellowing and it can only get worse. It's never going to get better. As far as I know, there's no way to cure yellowing. And so you're looking at the card on your screen right there. It obviously is a play on words with Duncan Donuts, which a lot of fat Americans are big fans of, myself included, here and there, not every day. But it's got the colors of Duncan Go Nuts. It's called Duncan Go Nuts. I'm assuming they had to get some type of copyright leniency with Dunkin' Donuts to produce this card, I would think. It's too close and similar in name. But a really good looking card. I mean, the bright hyper pink and the orange and then the Jordan and the red uniform just kind of clashes there. And so just a really great looking card in my opinion. You can kind of scroll and it's obviously Jordan in his red Bulls jersey going up to Yam 1. Let's read the back. Always like to read the back and read these corny narratives. Jordan's card number 15 out of 20 in the set, by the way. It says, the NBA's Royal Highness always set a new standard of excellence every time you laced up the kicks. We know NBA players can dunk, but it seems you took special pride in dunking over people. Uh-oh. And then it says, kabam! Exclamation point. That might be where kaboom came from. I don't know. But this is one of the many Jordan cards from the 90s, which was sort of like a farewell tribute, right? The narrative that I just read was past tense, meaning by this time, Jordan had announced his retirement. When they released this card, they knew he was retired, and so they're speaking about it in past tense. It says you took special pride in dunking over people, not you take. And so it's clear that it's kind of like a farewell tribute. And everybody was probably in mourning the year 1998 when Jordan announced his retirement. But let's do this. Let's give the people what they want, which is pops and prices. And so I've got my new fancy branded, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing pops and prices table pulled up. And as always, we've got the top 4 grades for the card in PSA and BGS. So both Gem Mint, PSA 10 and BGS 9.5, as well as the 2 mint grades, PSA 9 and BGS 9. What stands out to me on this table, first and foremost, is the pop in Gem Mint, PSA 10 and BGS 9.5. There's also, I think, let me double check this before I misquote it. I think there's 29 BGS 10s. Yeah, there's 29 BGS 10s. There's even 2 BGS 10 black labels, which are absolutely eye-popping, mesmerizing, but 29 BGS 10s as well, so keep that in mind. And it actually sells for about the same price as the PSA 10, which is very unusual. That is very, very unusual and usually not the case. But getting back to our pop chart, that's 189 combined Gem Mint copies. And so I do want to reiterate, this is not the rarest of the rare Jordan cards. This is not like your Platinum Portraits or your Noise Boys or your Hot Shots or your PMG Reds or anything like that. So 189 gems out there, and you can see if you look all the way to the right hand column, there's even been 16 added just in the last 19 months between the 2 grading companies. 16 new Gem Mint copies out there. The card's been graded, what is that, 300, 460 times between the 2 companies. And look at the gem percentage. This is the next thing that's going to stand out. If you submit this card to PSA, you've got a 35% to get a PSA 10. I like those odds because most of the cards that we look at, if you've been watching my Explore the Card episodes, over the past year, you've noticed a lot of these cards are below 10% gem rate. This card actually grades fantastic. Yellowing again is the primary concern. The card is very thick. It's translucent. You can see through it. But the card's very thick and it's real hard. I say card stock, but it's almost like glass. It's almost like those old glass cards. And so that's why edges and corners are always usually really sharp. So you'll see an inordinate amount of BGS 10s. 29 is a lot. And then 2 black labels is pretty damn rare for a 90s card as well. Between the PSA 10 and 9, you got an 86% chance of getting a mint or better if you submit a raw card. Take that for what it's worth. Make some moves. See if there's a move to be made out there for buying raw and grading. I don't know. That's up to you. That's not my game. I don't know if there's margin there or not from an investor perspective. 86% are mint or better in PSA and 78% are mint or better in BGS. So both primary grading companies apparently agree that this card is pretty easy to grade compared to most other Jordan cards out there. Nothing really stands out about the sold price. The last PSA 10 sold recently. The last BGS 9.5 sold recently. It's about a 2x factor. The PSA 9 is almost the exact same price as the BGS 9.5, which I did think was a little odd. Usually there's a little more margin between 9.5 and PSA 9. But the BGS 9.5 and PSA 10, these Gem Mint cards, they've sold 18 times over the last 6 months. That is a huge number. From looking at these tables for all of these Jordan inserts and parallels over the last year, 18 times in the last 6 months is pretty high. So I think that's something that stands out to me. That's about 3 a month. So if you're looking for a copy of this card and you got $5-6 grand, I'd go ahead and get the Gem Mint copy rather than the mint copy. That's just my general, collecting advice. Again, everybody collects their own way and on their own budget. So I'm not here to tell people how to collect. Next thing that stands out is, the PSA 10's down. The BGS 9.5 is drastically down. The PSA 9 is down. So I am not delivering any news about this down market that you guys did not already know. The BGS 9.5 being down 44% would kind of lead me to make a very close investigation and almost certainly buy a BGS 9.5 over paying a 2x premium for the PSA 10. Honestly, I mean, I would much rather 2 clean, non-yellowed copies, 9.5 copies than 1 PSA 10 copy. Again, that is just the last sale of each. So you take a closer look at the charts. Obviously, if you're a Card Ladder Pro member, you can always pull it up. When you look at these charts and, you can see the last PSA 10 sold for $6,600. The last BGS 9.5, and we saw this on our chart, sold down here for $3,100, but it could have been a yellow copy. You don't know. So what you can do is always click View All Sales. You can go into each one and just examine them and see what the actual cards themselves look like. Were they clean? Were they yellow? Et cetera, and then just kind of make your decision that way. That's my best advice, because again, comps are comps, but really they're not. Not all comps are the same. You got to look at the actual card. You got to look at the platform. You got to look at whether it was auction or buy it now. You got to make sure it wasn't shilled. So you want to look at the bidding history. There's a lot that goes into buying Jordan cards from the 90s. And just do your research, guys. I don't want anybody to get burned out there. Then the other thing that stands out to me, let's get back to our chart here, is that a lot of people have been trying to grade this with PSA, it looks like, right? So just between the 10s and the 9s that have been added over the last 18, 19 months, right? There's been 25 9s added, but there's only been 6 10s added. So that's 31. That's less than 20% gem, even if there was only 31. That's not including the PSA 8s, 7s, and 6s. So the 35% gem rate that you see on your table, that today, if you submitted it, I don't think it would be 35 out of 100 is what I'm getting at. I think it would be somewhere below 20% would be the actual gem rate of raw copies that you find out there in the wild. I think the vast majority of those PSA 10s, existed and were graded sooner after release rather than, in the last 18 to 24 months. Obviously, only 6 have been added. So just something to keep in mind. I don't want you guys to, I want to make sure we're clear. I'm not out here telling people, hey, if you submit a raw card to PSA, you have a 35% chance of getting a 10. Historically, that is what the numbers yield, but that does not mean that today, 25 years later, any random raw copy has a 35% chance. That is certainly not the case, as you can see from this the detailed chart. What's on eBay? We always want to look at what's on eBay. I searched Dunk Nuts Jordan, right? I like to keep out the N and the go because I think some people may connect the K to an apostrophe to an N instead of leaving a space. And so just to make sure I get the right results, if you type in Dunk Nuts and Jordan, you're going to get pretty accurate results. 12 results come up. You got a 9.5, a 9.5 at auction, a 9.5 at auction, a 9 at buy it now, which is, yikes, crazy overpriced. You got this preposterously rare autograph copy right here for 40 grand. I'm not sure who would buy that. You got another 9.5. I mean, again, these are priced higher or right at the same price as a PSA 10, so nobody's paying that, but they are best offer, so go do your research and throw something out there. This looks like a pretty clean copy for $9,500. Again, that's way over comps, about 40% over comps. Another 9, but that is Kevin Garnett. Here's a Jordan BGS 10 at $30,000. That's odd. The last one sold for right at $6,700, $7,000, something like that, if I recall, right? What did the last BGS 10 sell for? There you go, $7,300. So I don't know about you, but I think that $30,000 is probably a little high on that. We got another KG, and then a Jordan PSA 9, and then a 9.5, and then another KG. I'm not sure why all those KGs are pulling up, but they are. So that's what we've got as far as cards out there. So there's cards out there. If you want a BGS 9.5 copy, you can go out and snatch one. You just got to get a seller who's willing to move a little bit with you. If we search 1998 box EX Century, I only get 7 results. And only one of the results is actually a box. It looks like David Adams has one for $32.50.95 OBO. So guys, do your own research. I don't personally buy wax from the 90s. I want to make sure. See, now I got 18 results, but then I'm going to pull up a bunch of weird stuff here. So, yeah, it didn't change anything. As far as boxes go out there, I think there's only one. Again, 720 packs is not crazy pack odds, but there's not 720 packs in a box. So I don't think your odds of pulling Jordan out of this box are very good, in my personal opinion. What else is, what do we compare this card to, right? What are some cards out there on Card Ladder that we can compare this card to where the PSA 10 is about the same price? Well, there's 3 I've got pulled up, right? Ultra Starring Roll from 1996, Ultra, which you see on your screen. You've got your 1996 Skybox Z-Force Slam Cam, and then you got your 1996 Metal, Precious Metal Shredders, right? So for those of you not familiar with the card on your screen, and I'm lucky enough to own a copy of this card, that is kind of the precursor to the precious metal gems, right? There were no precious metal gems from 1996 metal. But in 1997, Fleer released something called Metal Universe, and that is where you find the first PMGs, or precious metal gems, the reds and the greens. And then they released the 1997 Metal Universe Championship PMGs, serial number to 50. And then, of course, there's the 1998 Metal Universe, what people sometimes affectionately refer to as the gold PMGs as well. So this precious metal is a parallel, right? There's a normal base shredders that looks similar to what's on your screen, but it is a little bit different. A lot of people didn't even know then and still don't know today. And you'll see questions on Facebook and Instagram. Hey, is this a precious metal? People can't tell the difference between the base and the precious metal. You need to have them together to tell that difference. But the precious metal is obviously very rare. It is a Pop 11 in PSA 10, and it is a very valuable card as well. The last one sold for $6,900. That card's been pretty steady over the last 6 months. The other card, the Slam Cam here, is a Pop 17. Hasn't sold at all over the last 6 months, but about an $8,000 card, $7,000 card. And then the Ultra Starring Roll, which also have a copy of this card as well. Recently sold, well, not real recently, almost a year ago now, sold for $8,000. Card Ladder thinks it's gone down a little bit in value because the whole market's gone down. That's a Pop 10 card. So Pop 10, Pop 17, Pop 11, and then the card we're talking about today in PSA 10 is a Pop 61. And so if I'm choosing between these four cards, I'm going to go first with the precious metal, because I always prioritize metal and Metal Universe parallels and inserts over all others. That's just my personal opinion. I also feel pretty safe given it's a Pop 11. Next, I would go with the Slam Cam, because I think it's the next most visually appealing, and it's also only a Pop 17 card. Skybox Z-Force is a really fun product out there with some really cool inserts as well. And then I'm going to go with the Starring Roll third. The Starring Roll is only a Pop 10, so the rarest of the cards that we just mentioned, although I don't find this card visually appealing at all. I think it's very bland, very boring. I think the colors are very, uninspiring. And then the last card I would choose is the card we're talking about today, which is this Duncan Go Nuts. Of course, I'm talking about it in a PSA 10, not this BGS 9.5 that you're looking at. But that's my order: Precious Metal, Slam Cam, Starring Roll, Duncan Go Nuts. Let me know what your order is. Let me know if I'm crazy. We always ask the question with these cards, is the Duncan Go Nuts a high-end, low, mid, grail level, which is over $20,000? The PSA 10 is squarely over $5,000. So I think that's safely in the mid-level Jordan category, between that $5,000 and $10,000 value. And then the other three grades, BGS 9.5, PSA 9, and BGS 9, are all low, meaning solidly below 5,000 and not looking to tip over 5,000 anytime soon, unless it's some exquisite copy. Like the copy that I have is a pretty good copy with 210. So I guess there's a chance, they could push 5,000 with a Gem Plus Plus that you see on your screen, but it's still, somewhat highly unlikely. I'm a hold, right? I always like to tell you guys, am I a buy, am I a sell, or am I a hold? I'm a hold. I got my 9.5 Gem Plus Plus. I don't need to pay double to get a PSA 10. I'm probably okay on this because I bought this before it started going down. As I said, the PSA 10's been relatively steady over the last 6 months. Let's look at the last 2 years, because I want people in this bloodbath that we're experiencing right now to remember where we started from. So over the last 2 years, the PSA 10's down 23%. The BGS 9.5 is up 22%, so almost the exact opposite. Again, your starting data points here, whereas if it was here, it would look a lot worse. And so whenever you're looking at these card ladder graphs, I think they're incredibly helpful and invaluable, and I think they're crucial to making good financial decisions, whether you're investing to buy and sell, or whether you're just looking to put it in your collection. You want to buy cards at the right price so you can build your collection faster and more impressively. But you always got to remember that these percentages, again, just because a percentage looks a certain way, you've got to look at all of the data points in between, because that percentage is based simply on a beginning data point and an ending data point. One of the two could be a tremendous anomaly, which in this case it looks like it is. So if we searched the last 22 months, it would be down 70% or something like that is what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to explain. So just something to keep in mind. Where do I rank this card on the Jordan, on the Cajun cardboard scale of Jordan card relevance? I give this card a 6.5. Yes, I give it a half grade. I couldn't decide. I wanted to give it a 7 because it's so visually appealing. The title is so catchy. The use of colors that match the Duncan Go Nuts franchise is sort of cool. It's one of the first Jordan insert cards that I saw and I said, oh God, I need to get that. Hot Shots was another one. A Cut Above was another one. And then Duncan Go Nuts. Those cards just kind of pop. And look, there's a lot of Jordan cards that jumped out at me, but this one was relatively affordable in comparison to those others in high grade. And so, for that reason, I wanted to give it a 7, but then I looked at the pop. It's just too easy to get a gem. The pack odds aren't crazy. The BGS 10s and the black labels make the BGS 9.5 even more attainable and less unique. And then the value of the card, in a PSA 10 is only a mid-level card. So I give it a 6.5. It might even be a 6, but the card's just so damn good looking and unique, being translucent and see-through that, I went ahead and gave it a 6.5. Let me know what you think. Where would you put this card on your Jordan card scale of card relevance? I always get that wrong. It's a tongue twister. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. If you like these Jordan videos, I got 47 other ones on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel and on the Luca Nation Network. So click the playlist, go find them and have fun. You got a lot to watch and a lot to learn if you're just new to this and this is the first time seeing me. But as always, keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby. No matter what is happening, please stay positive in the hobby. Everybody is gonna attract to negativity like flies on dung, but stay positive in the hobby. This is supposed to be fun. It can still be fun. I'm having fun, even though the value of my collection has gone down very drastically. I am still having fun talking about cards because that's why I got into this in the first place, is to look at cards and talk about them. So keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby. Peace.